and gentlemen, welcome back to Untold Ireland. Now, interview today, it is extract from our Good for the Town we did not too long ago. So it's the full interview we did with Edward Gibbons. I had a great time talking to him, guys. We kind of felt like it would be a shame not to upload it, so here we are. You know yourselves, guys, like, comment, subscribe, helps us out a whole bunch, and without further ado, let's get cracking, lads. Let's get started. How are you doing today, Edward? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm fine, very good. Well, kind of good anyway, but we had a busy weekend, so
Yeah.
fine.
Can you tell us a story of how it was founded, the Vintage Day?
Okay, well, I've always interested in cars, and I've been, working on them and rallying and all that, like. And a certain amount of our friends would as well, but it kind of came about basically talking about cars, and my stepfather, Neil Doherty, he had a Bluebird estate, and we were talking, and he was after selling it, and we were saying he was the last man with kind of a vintage car driving in the village, and that he was the only one that used it as a daily car. So then we said, wouldn't it be nice to get everybody together and maybe get all their cars and bring them out for some day? So then we were thinking maybe we could get onto some vintage club, and we knew very little about, nothing about running a club or anything at the time, getting onto Muskerry Club and different clubs, and we'd made a few inquiries, but they kind of wanted to have it specialised kind of a run and stuff like that. But we were saying, like, well, there's guys with tractors and motorbikes and maybe an old bicycle or anything. So then to suggested, you know what, maybe we could go about, I think it was maybe Eamon or someone, said it that, you know, maybe could we not have our own club? And next thing I said, you know what, I'll ask the lads and talk to James and Trevor and the lads like that, and Dennis Harrington and Denny Harrington and all got involved, and Finan, everybody kind of, well, that kind of came because of the June Fair also. That's another, it's a different thing that came after. But like, so eventually we decided, yeah, we'll try and form a club. So we didn't have a clue, but we said, then we found out we needed public liability insurance and all that. So we had, I think it was Ted O'Connell or someone, he came from a club and he told us, like, what they do is they affiliated with or whatever, but I think they had their own way of getting insurance. But what we've done a bit of research, and we found that there was a crowd called the Irish Vintage Society, and there is also another crowd. But if you were affiliated with them, we were able to obtain reasonable insurance to run our car runs and our static shows or whatever we wanted to do, like. So we kind of got onto them, and I think we had to have 10 or 15 members or something like that. So so we came together then, and we formed the club, and I suppose the rest of it was history really in that thing. And then our first event was, I think, it was either the 2nd of November or the 4th of November. I think I have video of it anyway. 2014. And we had a great show. We had a bit of a car run, and then we had a static show, and we had tractors and cars and motorbikes and bicycles and everything. So it was, that's how it all started, you know. And I suppose then we kind of went to other clubs and other shows, and, you know, we got ideas from them then, you know, and like with our car runs, like, we're blessed, we'll say, where we are, our location, because every direction we go we have lovely scenic, you know. You can go like Barland Valley down, and you can go into Kinmare up over the Healy Pass, or you can go Ballochbane into Kilgarvan, you know. We can, you know, to where we go we have a nice didn't like it just a big motorway, you know what I mean, like we have nice roads, and we can use a lot of back roads and stuff like that, and there seems to be great interest in it, even still, like, you know, and just
I'd say a large part of it as well is that it's not just the cars. Like, even yesterday now, the amount of people who gathered to watch the Thrasher going, for example.
Yes.
You wouldn't see anything like that, and it's an event then when you see it.
Yeah, it's basically, yes, there was a nice event now in the sense that it was basic and simple. There was nothing complicated about it. You could overcomplicate a thing, and like you could, you know, if there was 4 times more amount of people, the village mightn't be able to handle it, you know, safely. You know, you need a way more organisation, and you know, facilities and all that, like, you know. So it's kind of, you have to cut or cloth, as they say, like, but like yeah, it was nice. The music started off and that was a nice touch. That thing, I think the music started around 1:30, and it made a festival feel, and people more relaxed, you know. Whereas, you know, before you're there, just, you know, people you just walk in and turn around and walk away out. But when the music was there, people kind of hung about, and it was a nice day. And then a bit of food cooking and all that, and there was nothing complicated about anything. Just park up stuff and people can look and talk about their cars or their tractors or whatever, you know, and say, I remember having one of them, or, you know, onto nice wheels or whatever, like nice paint, or nice car or whatever, like, you know, and the tractors as well, and, you know, and you'll always find something interesting, and then there was somebody start talking about it, or, you know, and you know, people gather around, and it's just like that. It passes the day away, like, you know. And then the music, of course, people enjoy that as well, and, you know, and the cooking, and, you know, and of course we had like Timothy Callan doing the wood turning, as he does every year, and then we had the forge and tin making, and different years we have different things, but sometimes it can just get like Groundhog Day if we have everything the same. It's kind of hard to, always looking for new ideas, and new talent, or new people in the club as well can come with new ideas as well, like, you know. So that's what we'll be aiming for as well, you know, like.
Is there any ideas you'd like to implement that aren't in it going forward into the future?
It's hard to know. There is loads of things we could do ourselves, I suppose, or collectively. But time is an issue too, you know, and we're just volunteering to do it. And pretty much every, you know, you go to different bigger shows, they have a lot of things like that. But you could invest a lot maybe of money into it, you know, if you have, like, we'd love to have stationary engines and stuff like that, you know. Like, and more, we had a steam engine one year, which was brilliant. I think that because it wasn't on the June weekend. One thing, there's a thing called the Ina Shannon is on every June weekend, and every steam engine and people from all over the country go to that. So we wouldn't be able to get, you know, anybody in on that day. Very, very difficult, you know. So, but it would be nice, all right, to introduce a few new things. But what we've done, we've kind of run out of ideas. Maybe if we like, well, we'll say other people can come with different ideas too, like, you know. Like a young fella said to me one day that he said, arcade machines, like.
Yeah.
Would be a good idea, and
cameraman Tom.
cut. Which would to be a nice idea, you know, that vintage machines, gaming machines. We would have thought of that, like.
Yeah.
But that's an idea, you know, like that. We'd be welcome to try everything, like, you know. Yeah. Like, one of the best entertainment for the kids yesterday was a bit of straw.
Yeah.
They gave about 4 hours jumping into it. You know, we didn't have to have any bouncy castles or expensive swings or anything. But bit of straw, there you go.
I'd say the most expensive toy that was there yesterday was the Civil War fire truck.
Oh yeah, that was a beautiful machine. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and every year somebody comes with something interesting, which we were lucky because we don't know where they just arrive out. They just arrive, like, you know. And even a guy came from, Trevor, you know, how he came from North Cork anyway. 4 hours driving a tractor, you know, to come here, you know. He's a guy that drove from north and south of England, you know. Trevor, be able to know, Trevor's the historian of all that, like.
You mentioned there that there kind of be fellas and they show up and they'd have these exotic vehicles and all this. Would you have any difficulty kind of sourcing the vehicles on your own, or is it like do you rely on people to bring?
Okay, yeah, I suppose, yeah, forgot to mention, setting up at the club, I done a lot of kind of the Facebook and things like that, and then the WhatsApp. So we have a WhatsApp group. Facebook. We've two Facebook pages. We have the Roughty Valley Vintage page, which allows you to create events, and not that I'm an expert now, I'm just barely able to do it, but you'll be able to create an event in the date, put up a picture, and then that's liked and shared, which I'd like more of the club members to do, is anytime we do something to share and like, because it'll spread further in, and you'll get, it's a friend of a friend of a friend in, or whatever, and then the different vintage clubs like Muskerry, Killarney, Valley, Tralee, there's Cork, there's Coachford, there's Crookstown, and all them will get notified of the event. So that's one thing. Then we have the Roughty Valley Vintage Group page as well, which is more like a community. Non-members can comment or whatever, or share again, and anybody can create their own. And I'd like to encourage members as well to, if they have their car, take a few photographs, make a bit of a history, put it up in the Roughty Valley Vintage Group website, and all that gives more encouragement for more people to, and then other clubs will come, and we would hope that more members of our own club as well, for the couple of 3 or 4 events that we do in the year, to make an effort as well to polish the car, and to be something like we'll say, well, our next car run, we'll say, I think is a couple, but there'll be one like with Remembering Elaine, Denny Harrington's family, and we do a run of that, and to be like, get your car ready for that, and things like that. And a lot of people put it up on the Facebook, and that's how it goes. And we also do maybe an ad in Dundee, like James had put up that an ad in Dundee, and people love going around to these shows. Some people make it a passion, going to every vintage classic car runs and shows, and we often, and then you see we have good roads as well. If we're going to do Moss Gap or Healy Pass or like that, people who knows it from rallying scenes from the past and all that, it's nice to go for a nice drive with a bunch of cars and show off your car, maybe drive around Khmer Town, or yeah.
You mentioned the rallying there.
Yeah.
You're a big fan of the rally yourself?
I am, since I was Circuit of Ireland, just pass up Barlin, I remember since I was young,
So would you say that was where your passion for the vintage cars came from?
It would be for sure, I'd say, yeah. It's definitely cars. Cars of the 70s really is when child in the 70s, and if we were a child in the 80s, it's probably 80 cars or 90s, My first memory of rallying really was my uncle had a Volkswagen Beetle, and they announced at Mass that, I'll have to go home early today because there's a rally on, and the priest wasn't a bit happy about it and all this, and the Circuit of Ireland. So, but anyway, we got delayed a bit in the village, and in the back of the Volkswagen Beetle there was a little shelf, and I was so young, so that's where I was inside. And next thing, we were stopped at Colayar Bridge, and said we were just going up home. So, and there was people both sides of the road all the ways up, and when they got home anyway, I disappeared from the house, and I ran all the ways down to John Mitchell's, and I watched all the rally cars passing up, and I suppose from then on I was in interest. Then my friends like Dennis and Mort, I kind of grew up with them at cars, Mach 1 Escorts, Mach 2 Escorts, and I had Avengers and Sunbeams and all that, and we would be at them together, and we'd go to all the rallies, and then we made more friends, and we made a thing called a rallying community, the people, it's a special community of people, no matter where background you're from, but coming back to the vintage, it's like that as well now. The amount of friends I have made now that I wouldn't normally be in my circles, we come from all different angles, and all that, and especially with the June Fair, that came from a slightly different angle, than the vision we started out. Well, we started out the club, we didn't. So just to get something in the village, a bit of fun, and it kind of snowballed in, so good, in a good way,
You mentioned yourself watching the rally there,
yeah,
and that's kind of how your passion for it built up.
Yeah.
When you're doing the vintage runs and everything, would it be a hope of yours that, say, some 7 or 8 year old young fella. He goes and he watches the vintage run, and it's the most amazing thing ever. And then he kind of ends up in a situation like you, where he loves this thing and he'd be a part of the groups, the communities, and all that when he grows up. Would that be a hope of yours?
Yeah, yes. I suppose a small bit with vintage for young people. It's kind of mightn't be exciting enough maybe for young people, in the sense, but there's it's nostalgia for us, I suppose, looking at the vintage machinery and also how times were long ago. I'm sure young people would have that interest as well, but to have the cars we have is kind of, I suppose, vintage car, like in classic cars, we just drive them around. But then I say, well, I had this car when I was a teenager or when I was in my 20s, or and that's whereas I was young people get into following rallying then, but then might like to watch the vintage cars as well. If we were just a petrol head, we call it, or if we were interested in mechanical stuff, you could be interested,
The other groups and the clubs, could you tell us about the relationship between the different vintage clubs? Like, would there be a lot of overlap between all of them?
There would to a certain extent, yeah. We would try and support the other clubs, and I only just got my car going, so I wasn't in a position to go to go with something. Like a club would like to see a car arriving from another club because it adds something new to see, Whereas, if there's the same 10 cars all the time, it's just, you'd like to see a new car and say, well, how did you build it, or did you buy it, or what is it, and how old is it? And
obviously, it's an amazing event, and
you've
done a great job in it.
Oh yeah, it is. How the actual June bank holiday weekend came about? Back in the early 2000s and so on and so forth, there used to be the Kilgarvan Music Festival, and that was when there was 5 bars open at the time, and I suppose there was more footfall, more people, and then there was a big interest in traditional music, and so all the 5 bars just have this music festival, and so every June bank holiday weekend. But then, as times evolved and a couple of the bars closed down and stuff like that, it was probably maybe not financially viable to pay a lot of good musicians and all the gear and all the equipment and have the whole thing running. So it was kind of on its way down. And then we were after running the November one, and then we had one on the 13th of June because it fell on a traditional Kilgarvan County Council fair, so we can use that opportunity for insurance purposes and stuff like that. But we subsequently got better insurance from the IBS down the road. But so it gave the idea then. I think maybe it's like Finan and the lads are saying, why not, change over to the June bank holiday weekend. So we said we did, and then I suppose the rest is history. And that's what brought the other, and we kindly got to the yard below, which is Cronin's below, which is a beautiful, safe, a gift of a place. The old building with the old crane and the open fire, and then we head around the back, and it's nice and safe, and and all that, and that's it. The future, there might be a building there, but there's always a plan B.
Even
but that is yet that we can brainstorm that sometime, but we don't have to do that yet.
And it's even in the perfect spot in town because it's right smack dab.
Exactly. Yeah.
As well,
Yeah.
Speaking about kind of the event in general and all of it that went on, could you tell us about some of the work that goes into it behind the scenes, like finding sponsors, the fundraising you'd be doing?
Yes. Okay. That's interesting. A lot of clubs would have their meetings in the community centre or something like that. We would definitely have our AGM or something like that in there. But what we do is we rotate, when we're going playing an event, we rotate between the 3 bars, because we started out with absolutely nothing. The idea came in the bar. So like our first meetings, we'll say, was in the bar together, and it's just a public place to meet. And then they were very good to us, and they gave us good sponsorship. So we said, it's a nice way to kind of give back to the bars who support us, was to have our meetings, So we rotate. And we discuss the event really, and we have arguments or whatever we have, and it's fine. And we don't have arguments; it doesn't matter. But we trash out what we're going doing, and eventually we'll come up. Well, I will write it down, and we'll eventually come up with a thing. So that's one thing, and that's why. And another thing is, if you're sitting as a bystander in the bar, you can hear what we're talking about. We've nothing to hide or anything. It's just a simple bunch of group of people organising a fun day out, really, or whatever we're going doing, and that's it. And as we mentioned about sponsorship and all that, the village has been very good to us, and Kinmare and other people and other shops and premises and further afield, and people work for companies and like that, and they sponsor. So I couldn't name them all now. Like, there's a big list now that sponsor them, but we put them up on our Facebook page and on our WhatsApp group and stuff like that. A lot of them are listed there and very much appreciated. Definitely all the local businesses, like I could start naming, but I could let out someone, so I don't want to start naming like that. But we had a list of that. But that's very important, sponsorship, so to fund. Like there's insurance and all that and things like that. But we have money in the kitty now to do things down for the future as well. Like if we want to get better music or better, or sometimes get a guy doing something professional or thing like that. They're all ideas again for the future, that people can come across somebody or think of something. What else? I suppose there's just doing up the posters is between work and that, a small thing. We do that. I do that myself. We do it ourselves. We don't actually pay anyone to do marketing really. Maybe it's an idea to get somebody, but maybe we're too small for that. I don't know, but we're working away fine. It works the way we are. Would
you say that's a important part for you, putting the event together, that just driving more business and community into the village?
Oh yeah.
Back,
Well, yeah, I suppose that's, yes. I mean, when they sponsor us, we like to have the stuff in the village then, like the June Fair. We also do car runs as well, and we would maybe start from the village here and go for a drive down to Sneem or somewhere, and that's a different thing. But once or twice, then we are as well the Michael J. Quill Centre as well. We like to use that as well when we can. It's lovely. Sorry, a lovely spot as well. Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us a bit about the fundraising and the charity work that you do through the event?
People in the club, I suppose, the various people in the club will get sponsorship and stuff like that, from and people, I suppose, within our group, even within there's 60 or 70 members. Sometimes it varies between 60 to 80 year on year, depending. And a lot of people, they mightn't have time or mightn't like to be involved in the meetings. So yeah, sponsorship is one thing, yes, and the events we run in, we sell raffle tickets. The event we do here in the village is free, and we all volunteer. We don't get paid, obviously. We do all that for free, and then we sell raffle tickets, and then that pays for so much. then we would do maybe a car run or a tractor run, like we do the Jackie Healy Area Memorial Tractor Run as well, and the Remembering Elaine Run, Paddy Foley run as well, and there's Joy Sweeney, the people of the village that we were kind of memorials, so we dedicate our runs to them. But what we do then with we're non-profit, like obviously what money we, you know, you need so much ongoing for the year to year. But as and when then we have given money to local charities, which we're proud of, and we will be doing so again. We have raised good, like over the years, like you could talk, we probably have 40,000 or more. The treasurer now would probably know better than I would. I'm sure we have, like, because for Elaine's run was a really big run, and we raised, I think, like something like 30,000 or something for that, or 20 something. Now my bad figures, but we've done given to local charities as well, you know, down through the years, different things. So overall, yeah, and we will be doing so again, you know. Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us, Edward.
Very good.
It was a pleasure to have you on.
That's great.
And we'll see you later, I suppose.
Very good.
Perfect. Cheers.
Mighty job.
Right, so ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you thought of that interview down below in the comments. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. It's free, helps us out a whole bunch. Obviously, special thank you to Edward for joining us. If you haven't seen our video, The Good for the Town, make sure you check it out. It was a passion project of ours, and you know, it's a very, very good video, guys. So just check it out, it's unreal. It's good for the town. Yeah, like always, same time next week. Thank you very much for supporting. Links to all the social media down below in the description. We have a Patreon and YouTube memberships as well, but don't feel the need to go near there at all. Liking, commenting and subscribing, that helps us out just enough, and it's greatly appreciated, guys. And Daniel O'Reilly also helped us with this video. So the sound design, you probably noticed, was way better than it usually is. He's a professional, he's damn good at what he does. He's an album dropping in 2026. Links to all his social medias will be down below in the description as well. And huge thank you once again to Daniel for joining us. And Rogers! Thank you, Mary, for letting us film in Rogers. I think I've enough said now, guys. We'll see you next week.